Hey, my name is Scotty, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to sketch smiling faces, focusing especially on the larger portraits. So before we start sketching, I want to go through some theory with you about sketching smiles. Now generally when I do sketches, the faces are quite small. So when I do a smile, I usually don't draw the teeth. And the reason for that is because if you outline all of the teeth, they actually look like they've got big spaces between them because the pen line width is too wide for between the teeth. And when you look at teeth, generally they have a very light grey line there, so dividing them up. But when it comes to drawing a portrait where they're really smiling a lot, it's trickier because when you just outline those teeth and leave them white, it looks like a mouth guard, so it's not very particularly attractive. So in this tutorial I'm going to attempt to try and conquer that challenge by trying to use watercolor instead of the lines to separate those teeth and add the shapes there. Okay, so when I start a portrait like this, I always use dots to anchor my sketch. So what we're going to do is start off the sketch with two dots in the middle here, one here and one here. Now the first main shape is the hair, so I'm going to start. You could start with the whole outside going around here if you like, but this one I think I'll start with the bottom edge of the forehead, half that width, and then go up to this point. Put a dot there. So we're going up and it's a little bump there with hair. You can take your pen off if you like and come across past the halfway point and then down this corner and here. So about a quarter of the width, so probably about that much. We come at that same distance here. Hand on this side, almost double that width up to there. And now let's outline that. Once again, really sketchy lines. Looking at that big silhouette, the big shape there. Now we're not going to get this exactly like the exact likeness there, it's just an impression. Now we want to find the chin so we can draw that neck shape. So on this reference, if I put my fingers on that width of the head near the eyebrows and then I transfer it down, it's about equal to where the chin is. So the chin, see how wide it is? I've got that red line there, it's about a third. Let's draw a soft line there for the chin. So I'm just going to draw that straight edge, but it's tapering in. Both sides are tapering in just a tiny bit. So now I'm just connecting those points. And we can adjust these later as well if the face shape doesn't look quite right. Add that in, that turn here and here. So between the hairline and the chin, usually divide into three. But we can see here that the bottom section is a lot longer than the other two. So I already know that that's the distance of my brow. So grab that and come down to here. So put a little dot there. And so now we have 1, 2, and see how much longer does that look about right? We can use 2 dots. So put 2 dots either side, and here's the nose, and it's very wide. So look at the reference, compare that width to the side of the cheek. So we'll put in the eyebrows now, lines like this. Halfway there, where they're straight, and angles down, go across, and then down. Now the nose. So the nose is at the bottom of these dots, and we go up from there to draw the nostrils. So on this side, it comes in, we have a nostril, goes up again, and there's another nostril, and then comes on this side. So where the bridge is here. Now the eyes, so we can use dots to lay out the eyes. We've got 4 dots, and the eyes between the bottom of the nose and the brow, we go up 2/3. So 1, 2, put a dot there and a dot there. Okay, so I've got my 4 dots. Now let's join those up with some simple lines. Divide them into 2 lines if you like, 1, 2, but in general there it's just an arc going across the 2. That. Notice how narrow those eyes are, and that's because they're squinting when they're smiling. Now after we've done those, now we can do the irises. So we're finding the pupils, they would be right in the middle of those eyes there. Just draw some nice round circles in there. Now let's move on to the smile. To find the smile, if you go from the bottom of the nose to the chin, usually the smile is up 2/3, but because the mouth is open, that's not correct. So we have to find where that chin would have been if he wasn't smiling. Get my fingers there and I'm measuring just roughly between the brow and the nose. Bring it down and put my finger there. So that's where the chin would be if he wasn't smiling. I'm going to go up from here 2/3. 1, 2, and then come across. I've already got that there. And then that is where the outside where the iris is. So then we come across the other side. And so the smile, it's just from observation. You've got to find another point you can see. So that's the outside of the iris on each side is the smile. Just a slight curve between the two. Come in like that. So if I try and do it on both sides. Like that. That might be too much there actually. So just in terms of the lips, we can add a little subtle line just on the top, in the middle. Just some subtle little lines like that. So as I mentioned before, we don't outline individual teeth, we just outline the whole area of the teeth, and we're going to use watercolor to try and define some of those individual teeth later. So here we're coming right to the edge and we're just showing a bit of the direction of the corner here. So leave a bit of black here in the corner and have a little line here, and on this side, a line there. So this is where the main two teeth are here. Then we have the eye tooth there going back. So there we come. So now we have a little bit of interest to that bottom edge because it's a large portrait. I wouldn't do that on a small portrait, just a straight line. Now to show that smile even more, we need some lines, some support lines. So the first lines I'll put in here come from the nose. So they come down and they're aiming out around those corners. So one goes like this and one goes like this. Start from here and make sure they connect somewhere with the top of the nose almost, but leave a gap around there. So it's sort of a bit higher here than here. Just here, that side, and here as well. Now around the eyes, we have a line that comes out and around this way. So then a line like that, cheek muscle. And we also have this on top, this one, and this one. And there you can see the expression is coming to life. We can draw the neck, which comes down a little bit to the right of this curve, but only to about here where it's straight and then it curves away. Now the ears, usually they're between the nose and the brow, but because he's angled his head up a little bit, you can see they're just in line with the mouth. Can complete this finally. Lines up there to show the direction of the hair as well. And then facial hair. So we don't want to draw a moustache here, so we're not drawing too many lines, just little short lines in groups of 2 or 3. And then around this section, coming down, and then a lot around this section of the chin. Okay, I think that's enough for the line work. Okay, let's start the watercolor. And I have my round 12 brush because we're going to do a large area here. And already prepared this burnt sienna, which is about 10 or so dabs of water with a tiny bit of the burnt sienna. Okay, we're coming down. There's a bit of hair, space through there. And this just helps you get free highlights without having to use your pen later. Try not to go on the teeth here. Next, I'm adding a little bit more saturation so it lightens up again. Now the next bit we can do is the hair, and he has some dyed blonde bits, blonde tips on the top of his hair, so we can use yellow ochre for that here. Leave some white in there, it's impressionistic. So we have ultramarine, and I add Payne's grey to that so that it's dark, like I can just see the corner. So try and avoid the skin, most the skin on the neck. Now I recommend letting that dry so we can add layers on top of that skin. So I have burnt umber and I'm placing that up the top, and I'll add some Payne's grey into that, a little bit of overlapping areas right down to here. A really nice way to frame the face. Really light Payne's grey with a tiny bit of burnt umber. So we don't want to make it super dark. And it's just it makes an impression of a light shade. Now here it gets darker. And now let's paint in his eyes. Let's add a bit of blush just across the front here with rose, just across the middle. Rose blob here, one here. So now we come to the teeth. So grab your smallest brush. So I have my round 8 brush. What I'm going to try for this tutorial is that light pink that we just had there, just across the top of the teeth. and it can also be on the lip. And we're going to be doing the teeth with very light grey. Let's draw that first line for the middle between the two front teeth. I've got a very subtle line there. So we'll angle in a little bit. We'll angle on that side and an angle on this side. Work it around and I'll hopefully get it under the teeth here. So with the shadows, we'll go back and fix up the teeth with the white pen later just to make some of those lines thinner. But let's do some shadows. The sun is coming from the top right, so that means that this hair would leave a shadow on this side. So just this side of the forehead and around here, around this side of the face. Tops of the eye, the eyebrows block the sun as well, and the bottom of the nose. So it follows this around. There's another little shadow. So it makes the sketch pop a little bit when you've got darker spots. Now I've got my Uniball Signo pen and I'm going to add just a few highlights and adjust the teeth. We're going to put on the left of the pupil a little dot there, just like that, yeah, like that. And then through the hair, just a few to add the interest. Use my white pen to just make those lines a little bit thinner. So I've been working on the teeth for quite some time with the pen because I wasn't quite happy with it. I went away and I came back and looking at the reference, so I made some adjustments and I've been working on that. I'll just summarize what I've been doing. So I've made some of these arches just here on the teeth a little bit more prominent. So I just made those right, and then I realized that these teeth at the bottom, they needed to come further down because they weren't long enough. So all I did was just add a bit of white on each bottom one, and then very lightly with my pen add a few little black lines around the bottom. So that looks much better now. The teeth were a little bit thin in the middle of the mouth. So that's how I sketch faces smiling. I hope you enjoyed this process of something quite unusual for me, sketching a large face with lots of teeth showing. So let me know what you think of my tutorial and how it looks. Otherwise, if you want the whole tutorial with none of the cuts and you want the reference and the templates that go along with it, then you can join my Patreon, and I've got the full version there. Also a community where you can put a photo of your sketch and show everybody there and ask me any questions. But otherwise, there's another tutorial right here on YouTube you can watch. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.